Hey Mark, can we use the API 2500 bus compressor? I really like the color on that unit. Hey Mark, this mix sounds great, but can we make it a little bit more transparent, like the demo mix? Hey Mark, I like the mix, but can you make it more warmer? Hey Mark, I love the kick, but can you bring out the knock? Hey Mark, I need a little bit more booty on that 808. Hey Mark, I love the mix, but can you bring out the shine in it? Hey Mark, I love everything about the mix, but I need a little bit more air. Hey Mark, my vocals don't sound clear. Hey Mark, can I be honest with you? This mix sounds sterile. Hey Mark, I like the mix, but man, it needs to be more 3D. 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 Let's go. Recording engineers have always had their own lingo. And when you mix that with producer lingo, writer lingo, artist lingo, A&R lingo, the list can go on. But most times we can figure out what we're each talking about. But when someone new comes into the fold, it's kind of hard for them to catch up. So I'm going to give you a head start. Here is some of the lingo and what it means. Let's start off with the first one, color. When someone says a unit has a nice color or this saturation has a nice color to it, all they mean is a nice EQ, meaning maybe it has nice highs or a nice EQ'd low end, or maybe it has a dip in a certain area. All in all, color means EQ'd. Next, transparent. Now, transparent can mean a few things for an artist. Sometimes they get demoitis. Hey, we all do. But the thing is, they're trying to tell you that the mix, it sounds like it's too much going on, and they're just trying to simplify it. Now, on the producer side, maybe the mix sounds too compressed, and what they're trying to say is, hey, it doesn't sound as transparent as the demo does. And so you just have to figure out what they're talking about. Maybe they feel like it's too EQ'd or too compressed. You just have to probe and narrow it down to see exactly what they want or what they're talking about. Next, warm. Warm can be a couple of things. The first thing is usually there's too much highs going on, so the song sounds brittle, like it's too in your face, or the highs are just too much. And if so, try putting on a high shelf at around 10K and bring it down about 1 to 3 dB. And the curve can be a 6 dB slope or a 12 dB slope. Just start there and see if that helps first. The next thing you can look at is your low end. A/B your mix with the original demo to see if the low end is the same or better. Because remember, they've been listening to that demo about 1,000 times. So if they feel that it's not as thick as the demo, well, they might say, hey, it doesn't feel as warm as the original demo. Next, knock. Now, knock can mean just the kick or the mix itself. Now, if it's the kick, it's usually around 80 to 200 hertz, the lows or the low mids, wherever the meat of the kick is. Now, I'm not talking about the sub if you're going in the area of 60 hertz, 50 hertz, and 40 hertz and below. Try to put on a high-pass filter and take out everything under 60 and see what frequency helps the kick come out front. Then put on a transient designer or maybe some type of saturation and push into it so that it brings out that thump in the kick, the true knock. Then slowly bring back down the high pass filter to let the sub in, but be careful and not let too much sub that it takes away from the knock. Next, booty. Talking about that 808, that sub area. Maybe they played it in their car and they have a sub in the car and they're just not feeling that sub harmonic, that low 808 style, that thump in the trunk. If you don't have a sub in your studio, maybe think about getting one. Very important. The sub area is anywhere from 60 hertz all the way down to 30 hertz. Next, shine, or sheen if you come from the old Neve era. To add shine to your mix, that's anywhere from 7K to 15K. And for the sheen, that's usually around the 12K area. Adding this and mastering it in your mixes makes a world of difference and helps to make your record sound like a radio-ready record. Next, Air, made famous by Cliff Mogg from his original design, the NTI EQs, till later now his own Mogg EQs. Adding anywhere from 2.5 to 40 kilohertz is supposed to be the Air band, but what really works is try it on the 2 band at 15K and then start raising it up. If you have the 4 band, of course try it at 10K or even at the 40K and start raising it up. It's a really nice EQ, a really nice effect, and really adds that something special to your mixes. Next, my vocals don't sound clear. Of course, they're talking about clarity. And to help you with clarity, try these frequency ranges. Now, if you're on analog, it was the easy fix. Do a tight Q at 3 kilohertz or 5 kilohertz or 7 kilohertz. Try a tight Q at 2.8 or 2.4 and raise it up about a dB, maybe 2 dB, at the most 3, and pick which one brings the vocal closer to you. Now, on digital systems or your DAW, I would try 2 kilohertz or 5 kilohertz. 3 kilohertz on a DAW system, for some reason, sounds really brittle. And if you add too much of 3K, your vocal can come off sometimes really tinty. So be careful with that. Next, stereo. What they can mean in pro audio is that the mix sounds dry or no energy, or just plain throughout. There's no movement, there's no excitement. To fix that, you try a number of things. If you're the producer, try adding some ear candy, meaning some tambourines, some shakers, some swooshes, some sounds that kind of jump out at you, or some transition sounds, some sweeps, some reverse cymbals, some risers, some stabs, or try thinking outside the box, some vocal hits, some beatbox, some talkbox. If you're a mixer, try some filtering effects, like taking all the highs out, so all they hear is the drums and the muffled Rhodes or piano or whatever, and it slowly comes into the chorus or to the B section. Also try to take out some instrumentation and then bring it back in the chorus or throughout the song to make the song build and not make it so stagnant. Another thing you can do is automate the sounds inside the song and push them out there and then bring them back in areas when people are not expecting it. Just make sure that the song keeps building and it keeps building to the end. Last but not least, 3D or 3-dimensional. And why doesn't a song sound 3-dimensional? Well, what is 3D? In pro audio, 3D is depth, width, and height. Let's start with depth. Depth is the front and back, meaning what sounds closer to you. Usually, a vocal is right up front, along with the kick, snare, maybe claps, piano, bass. But to make something sound close, you need something to sound far, like tambourines, shakers, horns, strings. And if you add reverb to any one of those instruments, it can even push them back further, essentially giving the song or track depth. Now, if you have backgrounds and add reverb to those backgrounds, that pushes the vocal or the lead vocal up front. Then the backgrounds are more of the support for that lead. I'll go more into this as I just want to give you the definitions of these terminologies. Now, width is your side information, your left and right, and that adds to your 3D dimensional palette, as well as height. And what do I mean by height? Height is your low-end information and your high-end information. Your low-end information like 808s, kicks, that low Barry White voice. And then you got your high information, your hi-hats, cymbals, tambourines, those lush female vocals. So why would they say that your song doesn't sound 3D-ish? Because maybe it doesn't have those elements. Maybe everything sounds up front and nothing has dimension. Maybe it sounds more mono-ish. Maybe it can sound bigger and have width. Or maybe the song sounds very mid-tone and doesn't have weight or that low end to it. Or maybe it's missing some high end. You need to add that air or that sheen or shine. All right, I just gave you 10 what do you mean engineer, artist, producer, A&R terminologies. If you hear them, now you know what they mean. And just know, this is part 1 of this. All right, take care, and I'll see you on the next video.